walking the awakening path.
I am super grateful you are here. Today we are sharing sacred space with incredible Elizabeth, founder of the Essential Oracle. Elizabeth is a yoga instructor, Akashic Record practitioner, Reiki practitioner, and oracle card reader. Grab a cup of tea, settle in, and let's connect to soul as we listen to Elizabeth's story of her awakening and her wisdom. Welcome, Elizabeth.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited about this.
Thank you so much for being here with me. Elizabeth, every awakening journey is unique. Could you take us back to the beginning of yours?
Let me just kind of layer a little bit. So like growing up, we weren't religious. We didn't really do anything that it wasn't a bad childhood. It wasn't a good childhood. It was kind of mediocre, lots of different things to go through. And then I got married to my now ex-husband. And so that was a very tumultuous, like 9 years. And during that time, I was very religious. I was a very devout Christian for 15 years at that point. And I just didn't realize like how abusive my marriage was until I was out of it. But what led me up to it was understanding that I now have this daughter that I'm like, I don't want her to know and expect to be treated the way I had been treated in my marriage, or have the expectation of how men in general are supposed to treat her. So, like, what am I supposed to do about this? And I realized, like, I no longer needed to be in that relationship, either because I completely lost myself. I didn't even exist as Elizabeth. I was just a wife, a mom, a worker, and that was it. Nothing outside of that existed for myself. So I had to kind of reclaim my power, reclaim my identity, to be a better example for my daughter. And so when I finally built up the courage to divorce her dad, that summer, I had been called over and over again to go to this Reiki practitioner. I had been going to this chiropractor regularly for like 6 years, and she had a Reiki practitioner that had been there for a while and then went into her own practice. And I kept getting called to her specifically. And so one day I went, and um, so I didn't really tell her anything about my past. I didn't realize that she was also a psychic medium and a Reiki practitioner. And I'm pretty open to different concepts, whether I believe in them or not. I'm always open to listen. And during the session, she's like, "Do you want me to tell you stuff that I see, hear, or know while I'm doing Reiki on you?" And I'm like, "I'm open. Tell me whatever you think comes up." And she just talked about different things that come up, like mother wounds, different cords, for a very tough time that I was having with work. And my main thing is like, I wanted to get rid of all this toxic energy that I felt had built up from my ex-husband, because I'm like, I just want a clean slate. I'm like, even though being religious at that time, I still believed in the energy and how other people like influence your own. I'm like, I just want a clean slate energetically, to just move forward from this, because by that time I had moved out of the home. And she's like, "Well, you cleared all that out." And then after the session, we started talking, and she's like, um, do you see things? She's like, "Did you know that you're clairvoyant?" And I'm like, What do you mean I'm clairvoyant?" And so she started giving me some examples of different things. And she said every time she went by my crown and my third eye, she's like, I was almost blinded by how open it was. And she's like, "I keep seeing you climbing on this mountain and you're almost to the top. Like you've climbed and trudged through the trenches to get over this mountain." And I was putting pieces together at the time. Like, yeah, I just went through the trenches and I'm trying to get over this hill so I can, have some relief. And she's like, every time I went back over your third eye and your crown, it it showed her like these different phases. And she's like, "Oh, just on the other side is this lush green land and these beautiful trees and the sunshine," and a song kept coming in her head. And so I told her something that I had never told a single soul about, a dream that I had when I was little. And she's like, "Yeah, that's clairvoyance. You prophesied, this event happening from when I was little. And I told her a few other things. I'm like, I've never said that to anybody because I just thought someone would think that I'm crazy because no one in my family was spiritual or psychic or clairvoyant. However, my Aunt Barbara, I was very close to, and she was a very, very wise woman, and everyone came to her for advice and different things like that. And so that just kind of really sparked and was the biggest catalyst for my spiritual awakening. And she eventually became my spiritual mentor for 3 years. And I just allowed the floodgates to open because everything just resonated after that session. And I'm like, I need to know more. And, how did I not know that these different things throughout my life were on the spiritual side of clear knowing and seeing and hearing and different things like that? When I was deep into my Christianity, I was like, oh, this is the Holy Spirit talking to me. And I did different deeds and gave different messages to people from that prompting, and turning it around to where I have fully deconstructed from my religion, understanding that seeing, knowing, hearing um, was within me, not outside of me. And that really sparked a great interest in how I got into Oracle card reading in the first place. Because she, in our mentoring group, we met twice a month, and we started learning how to read cards. And I'm like, this is my thing. I love this. This is great. And, 4 years later, I now have my own business. I read for friends all the time. I have been on a journey of just gaining as much knowledge as I can because it's fascinating. I've launched my own business, and I have big plans for different things this year.
What a beautiful story of awakening, and that you were actually being guided to the exactly person who transformed your life. And
Yes.
Elizabeth, with this, how did it support you actually on your regular life, the spiritual awakening? What happened with your regular life when you realized that you have so much gifts within you?
So how it affected my regular life, it really opened my eyes, because I don't believe in coincidences. I call them divine appointments. Is that you are meant to meet certain people during different times of your life, and there's nothing that's going to hold you back from meeting them. It might be a matter of timing, but eventually it's going to happen. And it really reconnected me with some different friends, some new friends, because after my divorce, I lost my entire community of friends because they were mostly with the church. And so that really opened my eyes to, true friendships versus circumstantial friendship, of being just your friends because you go to the same place, not because of, the interaction necessarily that you have. So it opened my eyes to the different friend groups that I had, and being more intentional with the people that I am continuing to stay friends with, and the new people that have come in, and really being able to discern, is this a true friend or is it an acquaintance? To also living my life in a way that's in alignment, and getting back to trusting my gut instinct, because that's what I had gotten so far away from. And trusting my gut and trusting myself, because over time I didn't trust anything. So getting that trust back within myself, not only like in my head, but in my heart, but in my gut. Like, well, if I think back, I really knew I probably shouldn't have done X, Y, Z, but I purposely didn't listen to my gut because I listened to my head and all the thoughts and the overthinking and all that, because my nervous system was so dysregulated. And that put me into really purposely doing things to help heal my mind, body, and soul. And some of that was right after my divorce. I also did life coaching with someone for 6 months because I'm like, I knew I needed help, but I didn't know how I needed help. And that opportunity presented itself, so I took it. And then I did the mentoring group with my friend Amanda, who was the Reiki practitioner. And then it got to learning on different other things that could help me heal because I knew I needed healing. I just didn't fully know the capacity in which I needed it. So I just continually sought different things out. And this also helped with my relationship with my daughter, understanding that sometimes when we didn't get along, it was me and my reaction, and I was triggered, not necessarily what she was doing. So it has helped heal our relationship, because now I can take a step back and it's like, oh, this is me. This is not her problem. This is my problem. And how am I going to handle and how am I going to deal with that moving forward? And how can I become a better mother and friend and now girlfriend to these people whenever I realize that it's my trauma that's making me feel this way? How can I adjust that? What can I work on? And doing like tons of what a lot of people call shadow work is digging in. Well, why did I respond that way? Like, because there's been times like I've raised my voice at my daughter. I'm like, wait, why am I raising my voice at her? She didn't do anything necessarily wrong, but I was triggered. So why did I respond that way? Why am I feeling that way? Let's dive deeper into what caused that and just under relayering or looking under the layers of why. And that's really opened my mind, my heart, and my body. And then just diving deeper into other spiritual practices that feel aligned for me.
That's incredible. Like knowing that, everything that triggers us is the reflection what we have to work on, and to be that beautiful inspiration to your daughter, to all actually people around you. It is a beautiful inspiration to look from this perspective. Please, if you can maybe share with us a little bit, what do you do daily? And if you can maybe also share some tips how people on this spiritual journey can move forward and expand.
Okay. So my day-to-day life right now, I still have a corporate job while I'm expanding and growing my business. And that part of my daily life, I've really been able to look at differently. Because before my spiritual awakening, it was a trudge to, go and log on my computer and deal with people. And now I have a different perspective is, this job is providing my security, financially for this time. I'm able to look at the people in my job a little bit more objectively and not take things as personal as I would have before. And then, being a little bit more intentional and playful with my daughter when she gets home from school and helping her through homework and play and just the day-to-day routine. So my normal day looks, doing my quote unquote 9 to 5, getting my daughter on and off the bus, and doing different things with her. We're currently doing Taekwondo together. And then I do have my yoga practice that I do. I do that usually on my lunch hour because I work from home and it's literally 1 minute away. So I try to stay intentionally on my path of still physically mind, body, spirit connecting. And I do that through my yoga practice. And then just, I don't know, making my home feel more of a sanctuary and a place I want to be and instead of a place I want to escape. Because I work from home the majority of the time. So I want this to be a safe, cleansed, clear space for me and my daughter. And then in the extra time that I have focusing on my business stuff and creating material and thinking of ideas, and different things to move forward with it. And then I have a group of friends I call my woo-woo friends that we have consistent daily like spiritual chats. So we'll do readings for each other and dive into different things. And then I have a few friends that I reach out to do other like spiritual practices, and we have group meetups to keep that also in tune and in line and my practices done. And then trying to be more consistent with journaling in my experiences. And then being intentional with taking the time to sit down and ground and get into my own practice for myself.
Thank you for sharing that. And Elizabeth, what about if someone is just at the beginning of that stage of the awakening um, and they are just starting to go within? What advice would you give them? Like practice that they can maybe do daily?
So someone that's just starting out, the first thing is to give yourself grace, to understand that you are here now and you can start fresh on your daily journey, and understand and accept that you've gotten this far. Everything that is behind you for a reason, and you now have things to look forward to. Don't pressure yourself to, have an overnight change because, if it took you 20, 30, 40 years to get this to this point, it's not going to be an overnight awakening. It's going to be a process. And I also feel like even with your initial awakening, you have awakenings after that. But usually there's usually a pivotal point that you can say like, okay, that's when it really, started and gave in. And then celebrating the small wins of things that you do for yourself. Understanding, all right, I set this goal for myself. I set 10 goals for myself. Celebrate the one that you were able to do. And then let go of the rest. And really everything I feel like is be intentional is the biggest piece of advice. Celebrating your wins, and then, journal. And it's funny because my guides and stuff always tell me about journaling, and it's probably my biggest resistance. But journal because, think about, all right, if this is the start of your awakening, think 6 months from now. And 6 months in, look back at where you started, and you'll be able to see how far you've come. And that's really what to keep in mind, because you might have big long-term goals, but understand that you can only go so much, and to celebrate along the way, and then look back and see how far you've come and celebrate that.
About the journaling, I feel the same. I feel bad that I didn't journal at the beginning of my awakening. Now, looking back, I wish I journal so I can look back exactly, see all the achievements. And I think that can help to have more grace and celebrate. So that's a huge advice. Thank you so much, Liz. And Liz, if you can maybe share a little bit about your brand, about the beautiful work that you do, and where can people find you?
Well, they can find me on Facebook, and I have a TikTok. It's not fully running, but I'm on there. And I have plans to launch my YouTube channel and my Pinterest boards by the end of February. So a launch of March 1st. But right now I do have a working website. It's theessentialoracle.com. And really with my business and stuff, it's really about really connecting back into yourself. So I do oracle card readings, and some people are like, well, I'm afraid to get a tarot or oracle card reading because I don't want it to tell me all this bad stuff. And it's like, no, you have to have a different mindset. If you're going to go on this path, it's like, what is it revealing about myself? Where can I, start from, and where can I look within? Because I feel like that's the biggest thing, especially with oracle cards, which is what I specialize in, is it really draws on where are you at now? What can you look into to really get to where you want to go? It's really about a deeper reflection into yourself, not necessarily all the circumstances or what's to come. Because if you really dig deeper into like who you are, where you're at in your journey, what you can work on, it's going to be much easier to get where you want to go if you do the inner work. And the Akashic Records, I offer Akashic Records reading, and those are very fascinating. And you can come to that with any approach. It can be if you want something lighthearted, if you want something deep, if you want to just some insight on past lives or where you're at or where you're going. That can be very lighthearted or very, very deep. And I can tell you my very first Akashic Records reading, it took me an entire week to integrate everything I learned, because I'm like, I'm a go home or, go big or go home type of person. Like, just give it to me. give it to me straight. And some people aren't ready for that. And that's okay too. If you just want to learn one piece of lighthearted information that you might not have known, that's okay to start with. You don't have to dive, so far deep that you're like blown away. You can start very light in your journey, because everyone has a different level of acceptance on which they're willing to hear. And I also feel like your spirit team is not going to tell you more than you're ready to know, anyways. Um, I do offer, one-on-one type yoga instruction if you want to know different yoga poses for different things that you're working on. If you're wanting to open like your heart chakra or your root chakra, I offer that. And if people are local, I plan on doing some community events this spring and summer. And yeah, so yeah, the Oracle card reading, the Akashic Records. Oh, Reiki. So Reiki obviously is what started my big journey. So I offer distance Reiki because that's something that you can do, be it a distance on a Zoom call, just like that we're doing now. And I also offer in person. If you're local, we can find a spot to do that. And that is just so amazing. Depending on how in tune you are or not, you have different sensations that come up. And I enjoy it too because typically I would get messages along the way if the person is open to it. So it's like all just kind of intermingled. It's all connected, is basically what all the modalities and stuff that I offer. They're all connected in some shape, way, or form. It's just what you're ready for at the time. But yeah, I have my website up and running. And obviously, from working a day job and having a kid, I do have limited availability, but eventually, I plan on doing this full time and I want to do retreats and different things. I got to be a part of a yoga retreat late last summer, where I did oracle card readings for the participants that signed up. And there's just all different kinds of ways that this can be integrated into different events and stuff. And I'm very excited for what's to come because I know it's good.
And look at Elizabeth Spark when she speaks about what she does. It's a beautiful expression. It comes straight from her heart, from her light. I love that. Elizabeth, if you can mention where you are located, so people, if they really want to join yoga live, then they can find you.
Yeah, I'm located in Fairlawn, Ohio, which is just outside of Akron. So I love to be involved if anyone is local, they can reach out to me. And on my website, my Facebook, or wherever, on my website, you can do the contact me, and it just sends me a direct email. That's all that does. And I would love to get into contact with anyone that's interested in anything that I offer. Or if you just want to chit chat about woo-woo stuff, I'm totally game for that.
Yeah, I love chatting with Liz about the woo stuff. She's a great friend, a beautiful open soul. I'm gonna, of course, post Elizabeth's information under this video. Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for sharing your beautiful story, for sharing so much wisdom. Thank you so much for watching this. I am sending lots of love to all of you. If you like it, please subscribe, give it thumbs up, and remember, awakening, it takes time, patience, 1% at a time, and you're gonna be expanding a big time. Sending lots of
Thank you so
love.
much.